This happened to me just a couple months ago, the second weekend of November. I am a small girl, around 5'3", 100 pounds. At the time of this story, I was having weight problems, so I was extremely skinny, which makes it all the more amazing that I survived this encounter unscathed. For the most part, I have mild PTSD. Anyway, I was house sitting for some friends in a sketchy part of Sacramento. I told my boyfriend at the time to stay with me all night, since they've already had a couple break-ins. We'll call him Jack. Jack and I were watching movies and having a good time when I fell asleep on the couch. I woke up a couple hours later to the door slamming and the sound of a car pulling away quickly. I was pissed. Jack was supposed to stay with me all night. I went to the front door, locked it, and went to look for the dogs, who were being mysteriously quiet. I found all four of them locked in the back room, scared as shit. So then I called Jack and asked him why he left in such a hurry, and when he'd be back, and why he locked the dogs in the room. He told me he had been gone for 2 hours, and he hadn't put the dogs away. Cue the panic. Someone had come into the house while I was sleeping, put the dogs in the room, and then watched me sleep. There was nothing missing from me or the house, except my hairbrush, which was sitting on the coffee table next to the couch where I was sleeping. Creepy intruder, let's never meet again. This happened about 2 weeks ago while I was walking from my building to my aunt's work. The city I'm in is a medium-sized one, and I don't have a very long walk to her building, but it's still a good 2 blocks away. A bit of background on myself first. I'm a transgender guy, female to male, who passes rather well for someone who is not on hormones. However, due to not being out to my family, I often wear women's jackets and neutral clothing, which can be a bit confusing for some people. That day, I had chosen to wear a purple jacket and a matching hat, and from a distance, I could be mistaken for a female since the hood was up. Back to the creepy part now. I was walking alone, like usual, when I heard footsteps racing up toward me from behind, which is unusual. There really wasn't anyone else walking outside at this hour, but naive me thought someone was late to a class since my work is part of a college campus. I shrug it off until I feel someone grab my shoulder and turn me around. A very large man was there, and there was a truck nearby. He seemed surprised to see me, though, and immediately let me go once he had got a good look at my face. He ran to his truck, and someone drove him away, and I ran the rest of the way to my aunt's office. Later that evening, the same man was on the news for an attempted abduction of a young girl in that area, just a few blocks away from where he grabbed me. When I was a preteen, I was super jealous of all the attention my best friend got, so one summer, when I was about 14, I decided to dress a little sluttier for more attention. I'd wear booty shorts and itty-bitty tank tops out everywhere. One day, I was out on a walk to get food, when a guy in a work truck honked at me as it drove past in the opposite direction. I relished my little ego boost, but thought nothing of it, until, not a minute later, the same truck pulls up next to me and slows down to my pace. A sweaty dude, who looked about my dad's age, rolls the window down and asks if I need a ride, complete with a creepy emphasis on the word ride. I said no thank you, and kept walking, thinking he'd speed off like a normal person. Nope, he kept with me, saying things like, "Come on girl," and "It's hotter than you out here." Keep in mind that while I was 14, my face definitely looked 11. Finally, he stops the car and opens his passenger door. I did not stop to find out what he was going to say next. I booked it down the sidewalk and ran into a neighborhood and through some backyards. This is something that happened to me when I was around 5 or 6 years old, but I still remember it to this day. We used to live in this apartment complex called Northwood Village. I remember it as being fairly decent, quiet. Nothing bad really happened there. Needless to say, I wasn't really expecting what happened. The halls of my building were usually empty, so I would often be alone, walking, running, playing ding-dong ditch, just the usual things that little kids do when they're bored. One day, I was walking in the halls, and I see this guy. I still remember what he looked like. He was white, with messy hair, wearing a denim jacket with no shirt, and a pair of jeans. He was also barefoot. As I walked closer, I saw that his fly was open, exposing his bare erect penis. We didn't exchange words, didn't even look at each other. He just breezed right on by me, staring straight ahead. For whatever reason, I didn't find this little encounter creepy until I told my sister about it. She went on to tell me that she'd also come across this guy sitting on a flight of stairs in a different building. Same clothes, same situation, but this time, he was pouring water on his penis while telling my sister, "It tastes like candy." Thank God nothing happened to my sister that day, but I'm beginning to get anxious at the thought of what could have happened. I have no idea what happened to that guy as I never saw him after my encounter, but I will never forget him. A couple years ago, I had a night shift job at a supermarket. I usually got home around 7 a.m., but on one night, my manager let me go home early at 4 a.m. I got home and found that the screen door, to which it did not have a key to, was locked. It was kind of spooky being outside at that hour, since my house is surrounded by dark woods. I called my mom, and she came downstairs and let me in. She then proceeded to tell me that at about midnight, my sister was downstairs alone watching TV with the lights on. She had gotten up to get something, and she heard what sounded like a quick knocking at the door. She quietly walked to the door, waited, and heard the knocking again. She ran upstairs and told my parents, but my dad couldn't see anything outside. About a month later on the local news, we heard that two guys had been caught for a series of break-ins around our area, and that they were knocking on doors in the middle of the night. What creeped us all out was the fact that these guys had been looking into the room my sister was in from the darkness, since the wall the TV is on is lined with a 7-foot tall window all the way down. It still amazes me that my sister, knowing I come home at weird hours, didn't just open the door assuming it was me.